Hello, welcome to episode 13 of Novel Knits. My name is Danelle and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading and sometimes hand dyeing yarn, but I haven't done that for a long time. I'm definitely on a hiatus from dyeing yarn. However, I did throw my name in for a sweater test knit, and if I get chosen for that, I might try to dye my own yarn for the sweater, which would be pretty cool. So fingers crossed both ways. I would love to get chosen because I want to knit the sweater, but it's also a rough time of year and I probably don't need that kind of stress. So either way, I'll be happy. But welcome. I'm glad, I hope you're here to chat about some knitting because that's what I want to do today. I'm coming to you from my basement in southeastern Wisconsin where I live with my family. My husband and I have been married for 18 years, which is ridiculous. We have a 13-year-old daughter, Claire, and a 10-year-old son named Milo. We have a dog named Penelope and a betta fish who is not really anyone other than my daughters, and his name is Aang. I basically live near Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So if you're looking at a map of the United States, right in the middle. I'm Midwestern. I was born in Minnesota, raised in Illinois, and I've lived my married life in Wisconsin, so that's who I am. And I pretty much just knit and am a dance mom, football mom, baseball mom. I work full-time for an environmental organization. And yeah, if you want to find me outside of this channel, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Novel Knit Girl, all one word, no special characters. And I post when I have something to share, which I lead a pretty small and boring life, and I'm not very artistic with taking pictures. So every once in a while I try, but I'm starting to feel like Instagram is not for people like me who are not very artistic and don't want to do reels. So we'll see. I am on it for now. So I have a quick vital few today where I'm going to talk about yarn advents and my plans for 2022. Wow, this was a fast year. And then I have a couple of finished objects, a lot of works in progress. I'm all over the place. This time of year makes me a little crazy. And I'll have a little book club at the end. So I have notes, but I've changed what I'm going to talk about since I wrote these notes because I did record an episode last week and I recorded it in segments. And when I put it all together, it was 108 minutes long. And I thought, that is way too long for me. I was not about to put that online. It was just too chatty, too all over the place. I'm still all over the place, but I'm going to try to rein it in a little bit now. So if I'm talking like I've already talked about something, it's probably because my brain feels like it already has. Anyway, let's move on. Vital few. We have been really busy lately. I'll just really quickly give a life update. My daughter is in POMS, her dance team at the middle school that she attends. They've started competition season. It's been going really well. She placed first in her very first solo, and the team has been doing really great. I get kind of annoyed with the coaches because they have to practice before school, 6:30 to 8 in the morning, and then go to school all day. And the competitions, we usually have to be up before 5 in the morning on Saturdays. So they've been really tiring her out, but life is still better this year, not doing a dance company and just doing it through the middle school. They won the last competition. It's been really good and it's been nice to have some success. I'm really proud of her. I don't know what that was. Did you see that? Okay. My son is he just finished his first season ever playing flag football, and he was born with one kidney, so we'd never really let him play in the past. But this year we thought, oh, we'll try flag football, and he absolutely loved it. I think he finally found a sport that he loves, which is good for him, but bad for me because I don't want him to play tackle football. But I think we're gonna let him try it next year because not only did he love it, he was really good at it. So we'll do that. And then during the week, I mean, our kids have all of their things are on different days. So my daughter has dance classes Monday nights and Wednesday nights, and our son has a baseball camp on Tuesday and Thursdays. And then my husband bowls every other Friday. So we have a crazy weekday weeknight shuffling with activity. So I'm really looking forward to the Thanksgiving holiday coming up and not having to run around so much. And speaking of Thanksgiving, I began this channel about a year ago. It was the weekend after Thanksgiving last year that I started this channel. So thank you. I don't think I said this yet. Thank you to any new subscribers and anyone who's come back. Like, it really means a lot. I love chatting about knitting, and I don't have anyone in real life that is interested in talking about knitting with me. So I'm so thankful that you're here. So I guess we're celebrating a year, and maybe I'll do a giveaway. We'll see. I have yarn. So I might do that. Maybe for the next episode, I'll do a 1 year plus giveaway. We'll see. Anyway, so I had mentioned a couple episodes ago, I did buy some advents, some yarn advents. I bought more than one. I'm not going to say how many. They've all arrived, and I've opened them all. I have no self-control. Does anybody else? I was just watching Michael from Peace Crafting, who I talked about last time, and he was like, I don't need to open stuff up. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make it last. And I was like, as soon as the stuff shows up at my house, I have to know. And of the ones I got, there was a clear favorite based on the yarn that I received, as well as the packaging, the extras. It was all very, very lovely. There was one that kind of, fell to the bottom, not because it wasn't great, but just because in comparison, it just didn't do the same thing. And I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that. But I'm thrilled. I have a lot of mini skeins now. I have enough yarn now to do. I would like to do the habitation throw for real using the minis, and I think I'm going to start that this year. I don't expect to finish it by Christmas, but one of the yarns just is going to lend perfectly to that, one of the kits advents. And then another one I think I'm going to use to make a Radvent sweater, and I may wait till next year. Maybe I'll just do it randomly throughout the year, whatever, that's fine. Another one, I don't know what I'll use it for. It was, I bought yarn from an advent from a yarn dyer. I'd never used their yarn before, but and it's really, it's interesting, it's different. So I don't know, it might just be like scrappy socks, heels, toes, cuffs. Always good to have that kind of thing around. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking because I don't want you to know how many I bought, because it was not my finest moment. But that leads into my plans for 2022, which one reason I allowed myself to purchase these advents, and I purchased them in like July, so I've had these purchased for a long time, is because I really am, I know what you're thinking, I know, I really am hoping to do a no to low buy year coming up. So I want to have all the yarn in my stash and work from stash. The other thing that I really want to do for 2022, oh my gosh, that is like, I still can't believe it's 2022. 2020 was like yesterday. Is I want to knit sweaters, a lot of sweaters. Well, come on then. Here's Penelope. She likes to make her appearance now. I have, when I really looked at my stash, I have so many sweater quantities of yarn that when I tell you how many I would like to make next year, I probably have that much for the following year as well. Or maybe not quite that much, I hope, but I probably have for at least a good handful for the following year. But I would like to make at least 12 sweaters. My stretch goal is 15. Listen, I know this doesn't sound doable, and that's why it's a goal. We're gonna see what we can do, and I'm not good at reaching goals on this channel, but that's what I'm thinking. And I was also thinking of maybe doing a sweater year knit along. I'll come up with a nice name for it, and I'll come up with some check-ins, some surprises. They could be a surprise, but prizes. I thought maybe using stash yarn, that could be a separate knit along, make along. So basically I'm thinking about doing 2 make alongs to coincide with my goals for next year. So because I have tons of sweater quantities of yarn and I have to decide if I'm a sweater knitter or not, because I'm not making sweaters with this yarn. So I would like to make at least a sweater a month for 2022. And myself personally, I want to knit all yarn from stash from 2022. I'm gonna give myself some, a couple breaks now and then, like if there's something I just have to have, but I'm gonna try to keep it underneath 6 skeins of yarn, because I figure either 6 skeins can be a sweater quantity for me, or it can be 6 skeins of sock yarn that I just love and have to have, whatever. So I'm giving myself a little bit of like, if you have to have something, you can do it, but try to keep it underneath, keep it reasonable. I haven't been keeping it reasonable. When the pandemic hit in 2020, I took it on as my personal responsibility to help all the yarn dyers out there. And now I have so much yarn that I don't know what to do with it. So I need to knit from my stash. So I don't know if I made this clear, but I'm thinking about doing 2 different knit alongs or make alongs, because if you're a crocheter, you're more than welcome. One will be a knit from stash for 2022, and the other one will be let's knit sweaters for 2022. So if you knit 1 sweater all year, you could put it in that knit along. If you knit from stash 1 time, you can put it in the other knit along. And I think I'll have prizes like quarterly, maybe. Maybe I'll have 1 prize for each quarterly, and then a grand prize for 2 people from each knit along at the end of the year. So that's what I'm thinking that I would like to do. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think if anybody else is interested in either of those things, let me know. If you're like, Danelle, there's enough people out there doing knit alongs, you do not have to put your hat out there, let me know that too. I'm totally willing to hear that feedback. So anyway, those are my thoughts, those are my goals. I have other goals for 2022 as well. I'm hoping to knit 12 pairs of socks. I'm hoping to maybe try some brioche. I'm hoping to finish the 4 or 5 shawls that I have started on the needles. I would like to finish a blanket and really start putting some energy into a cozy memories blanket. So those are my big goals, and I'm excited for them. Let's bring it down. That was a lot of energy and excitement and the dog distracting me. So let's get into finished objects. And I have a few. That I'm not sure about, but we'll get there. I'm gonna start with the big one first, which is the Shawlography by Stephen West. This was a mystery make-along that I participated in. I finished it about 2 weeks ago. It took a long time. I have not blocked it or weaved in the ends. I just sort of finished it and needed to walk away. Not because I don't like it, just it was a lot of knitting, and I was just ready for a break from it because I was pretty monogamous with it. So here it is. I'm gonna hold it up and we'll see what you can see. If you watch any other knitting podcasts, you've probably seen the Shawlography. It is really awesome. It's really big. As a process knitter, it was a dream. I really enjoyed knitting it. I will admit, I loved knitting this sweater a lot. I do struggle with whether or not I think I will ever wear it. But I do love it. It's like an art piece, and I don't know. I'll go through it a little bit. First, I'll show you the border because that's where the yarns are sort of separated and I can really explain them. So the yarns I used, this was my color 2, and this is Leading Men Fiber Arts, and that's their heirloom color. This is also Leading Men Fiber Arts, and this is called Haunted Wood. This is Ex Libris Fibers, and this is called, oh my gosh, Oathbreaker. I keep wanting to call it the Iron Giant, but it's Oathbreaker. This is Plucky Knitter in, it's a one-of-a-kind color. It's just kind of a mustard. And then this is Leading Men Fiber Arts, and this one is a director's interpretation, which is a one of a kind. So on the border, I did do the weave in Steven. So all of my ends on the border have been woven in. So I just have to snip those after I block it. But yeah, I'll quickly go through this. I feel like everybody's seen it. And so section 1 and 2 were the first couple sections, and I love it. I think everybody saw this and was like, yes, I love it. And then we go into the slip stitch section with the V's. And then I think we're calling them shrimpies. And then this is another slip stitch section. And then these are the welts. The welts are really cool. If you can see, they give a lot of texture there. I did not like knitting the welts, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. And we have another slip stitch section with triangles. This is, I think, pretty muted on my shawl, and I think when I block it, it'll stretch out a little bit more. And then there are these baubles, which are neat, another texture. I chose to do the mesh instead of the brioche. I've never brioached before, so I didn't want to do it for the first time on 415 stitches. So I decided to do the mesh, and I'm glad I did because I was able to get through it pretty quickly. Crisscrosses, not my favorite. I think they're going to block out really nicely, but they were not fun to do, nor do I love how they look unblocked. And the border was actually my favorite. It was super relaxing, and I don't know. There was something structurally about this that I really liked. I do feel that the border kind of doesn't totally mesh with the rest of the shawl, but I really liked knitting it, and for me, that's what this process was all about. I don't think, actually I know, next year I'm not going to do the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along, not because I don't like the shawl and not because I didn't enjoy it, but because this time of year, if I'm trying to knit 12 to 15 sweaters, and I like to knit for the holidays, ornaments, hats, socks, gifts. It's just a lot. This time of year is a hard time of year for me, and I'm not someone who loves monogamous knitting, as I've said in the past. So I will say everybody's kind of been saying what their shawls remind them of, and I really like my color palette, but I do wish that I'd switched the yellow out with maybe the heirloom or the oathbreaker, the gray, because this part here reminds me of like either the Northwestern Wildcats or the Minnesota Vikings. And because I live in Milwaukee, I mean, this reminds me of Marquette University and the Milwaukee Brewers. So I just feel like there were some sports team themes that were coming up for me. But I think in the overall shawl, it doesn't scream sports team to me. So I really like it. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna stop showing it now and move on with my life. Someday I will weave in the ends and block it, and then I will show it again. Very briefly. I will not spend that much time on it again. So another finished object I have is a gift from my sister. I made her the world's simplest mitts by Tin Can Knits. Here they are. You can see there's some color jogging here, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. All I did was I used Knit Picks Alpaca Cloud and Sophia, Thomas, and Elizabeth. I'm pretty sure those are the colors. And I striped them to match the scarf I made for my sister as well. And I held the yarn double and followed the worsted weight instructions for the pattern. This is a simple pattern. It was so easy and so quick. I think I knit these in a few days. The only thing I don't love is the top. The decreases are a bit, they make a little bit of a point here, and I'm not totally happy with the top, but overall these are great. I gave these a steam block, but I think I'm going to wet block them. My sister is taller than me, and but I mean, I'm 5'7" and she's like 5'9" on the low end. She's pretty tall. So these just fit me, and I know this yarn really stretches, so I might give it a quick wet block and just see if I can give them a little bit of a stretch, but very happy with those. And I made them to match the scarf that I showed a few episodes ago. So she asked for this. So now she has a matching set, and I will send those off to Seattle when all the rest of the gifts for their family are ready. So her birthday was a few weeks ago. My nephew's birthday was yesterday. And yeah, so I tend to send them just like a family gift box to open on Christmas, but it has birthday and Christmas gifts because I love giving gifts. Even though I'm a selfish knitter, I still do love to give gifts. I also finished a dishcloth. This is the Delightful Dishcloths Pattern. I don't have the designer with me. I believe it's free. Basically, it's just a big mitered square, which is really nice. I used Knit Picks Dishy. I think it's, I don't remember what this line is called. Marled Twist. I think it's Twist. I'm planning to make a couple more of these for some Christmas gifts for my mother-in-law and my sister-in-laws, if I can. If I only make one, I'll hold on to them and maybe get back to that next year. We'll see. Depends on how the rest of my knitting goes for the next month and a half. So I'm not sure. I wanted to make Christmas tree ornaments. I found this pattern. It has several different Christmas trees. I tried following the pattern to make one with baubles. It was not bringing me joy. So then instead of doing the baubles, I ended up doing slip stitches, and I came up with these. And I don't love them, but I don't hate them. I might sew them together and put a little, I don't know, or I might leave them separate. I don't know, but I think I'm done with that pattern. I don't think I'm gonna try any more. I also think I need to like add a little like stump at the bottom, like brown stump somehow. I don't know. I was really excited about all these Christmas trees, and it's just not going the way I hoped it would. So here's my start on Christmas ornaments. I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. I don't know if this will be one, if it'll be two. I'm just not sure. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this at all. It's just not, it wasn't easy to get here, and I don't think I'm gonna spend a lot of time on this pattern, so. Okay, oh, sorry. So that's it for finished objects. I am going to take a quick sip of water, and then I'm gonna come back with works in progress, which I have a lot. Okay, this is gonna be really sock heavy, so I apologize if you don't love socks, but kind of for Christmas, for my family, that's what I do. We celebrate Christmas. I like to give my husband and my kids something homemade. My parents have gotten to be real big fans of homemade socks too, so I have a lot of socks going. I have backup plans if I don't finish socks going. I'm doing well, but it's a lot of socks. So I will start with a few socks. I'll interject a sweater in the middle, and then I'll end with socks. So the first socks I'll show, and I can't show the bag because it was part of one of my advent calendars, is I finished a sock for my daughter. This is just a shorty sock. I just cast on, and I did a heel flap and gusset. I went online, I just typed in how do you do a heel flap and gusset and followed like basic instructions online. It was really good. I did a different toe. I did a rounded toe. It kind of looks square to me, but it was a different toe decrease, and I think it's okay. This yarn is The Child by Nomadic Yarns. Ashley, she's one of my favorite self-striping yarn dyers. Here's the first one. I haven't cast on for the second one, but this is great, easy. I will get the second one done by Christmas. That's all I have to do. So here's the yarn in the cake. The child is Baby Yoda, the Mandalorian. Here is her tag, in case you want any of that information. And yeah, so that one's coming along very nicely. Okay, next I have socks for my son. So this is in, I actually got this yarn as a gift, this bag as a gift. I ordered 3 sets of sock yarn on eBay, and the girl just sent the bag for me, and I was like, I'll take that, thank you. That was really nice. And it has the Kitchener stitch instructions on it, which is really nice. So these socks are for my son, Milo, and I just started doing the Hermione's Everyday Pattern again. I know it by heart, so it's just a really neat knit purl repeat. I am it's not only, but I am doing a Fish Lips Kiss Heel for him. I know it by heart, it's easy. I know it fits his foot, so I'm just doing that for him, and it just makes these a little bit faster for me. My daughter's socks are 64 stitches. My son is 56 stitches, so his goes a little bit faster, which is why I'm doing Hermione's Everyday Pattern for him and making his longer. I purposely made my daughter's socks shorties so that I could get through it quicker. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. So the yarn I'm using is Amanda Knits. Oh, dropping things all over the place. Yeah, Amanda Knits. This is her tag, and the color is called Fox Farts, which I really like this color. It's very fall, and that was like the worst. Oh my gosh, I'm throwing things. So I really love this yarn. This color is great. It's easy to work with. It's going along really well. So this one will get done in time for Christmas too. I have faith. All right, and then, I will show you. So I'm doing terribly. I signed up on for City Knit Girls for their knit along to dust off your whips, and I am doing terribly, mostly because of the time of year again. So these are the Katusa socks by April Garwood using ancestral yarns, and this is the first one. So the first sock has been done for over a year. Beautiful, beautiful. I love the stitch pattern. It's excellent, but it's a little fiddly. So, over the last month, I've only done like that much. I have got to get going on these because I want to at least have one thing done for the Dust Off Your Whips knit along, just to participate. But this is a hard time of year, what can I say? So that's coming along, and this is in Little Sock Sack by Tiny Human Knits. I don't even know when I got this, but I like this one a lot. Although I don't always love zipper bags because I'm not especially careful and my zipper gets caught in yarn a lot. So, all right, I did start my love note. So I have just a few days left of the Love Note Love Cal, and I'm hoping I make it. I'm enjoying making this sweater a lot. I've been wanting to make it for a really long time. It feels good to actually like have it cast on. I feel like there's a hair or something on me. I really enjoy knitting it. It's lovely. Now that I'm knitting it though, I'm a little concerned about the colors that I chose working with my skin tone. So you'll have to let me know what you think. So this is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. It's a really popular sweater pattern, and I see why. It's really fun to knit. It's great. I'm following the instructions exactly. I got gauge on the called for or the recommended needles. So I'm hoping this all works itself out. So here she is. So with the provisional cast on, you cast on like on scrap yarn up here. I don't know if you can tell that I have scrap yarn like here. Here's some scrap yarn. And then you pick up those stitches again and knit up to make the collar. I'm really hoping that this works and that it's not quite so boat necky. So if you've made this and you know that like I just need to trust the process, let me know. It's got beautiful lace. I did do a little steam blocking because I wasn't able to see the lace and I just wanted to open it up a little bit so now I can see it. I separated for sleeves, so the sleeves are here. So yeah, it's coming along nicely. I really like the color. I'm a little bit worried about this with my skin tone. Am I just gonna wash out? I'm not sure. I have a pretty pink complexion, which is funny because my daughter has more of a yellow complexion. So like we have completely different skin tones. She's like a mirror image of her father. Like they are like twins, skin tone and how they look and everything. And so it's funny when we're doing makeup, I'm like, I can't help you. I don't know how to do this. But plus I'm not a big makeup person anyway. So, but anyway, I really like it. The yarn I'm using is Sweet Skein of Mine in her BFL base in blush, and then a mohair also in blush. And I'm a big fan of the yarn. I love it. I'm just second guessing my skin tone with it. I'm gonna finish this one. I definitely have plans to make a second love note at some point in time. So if this one is not absolutely perfect or you know, doesn't totally work for me, I think that's okay. I can donate it. Normally I would say maybe I would give it away to my mother because I think it'll be roomy enough, but my mom would never wear anything pink and lacy. So it's just, that's not her at all. So I don't know. I'm loving the sweater. I'm loving the process of it. I'm just becoming a little worried that it's going to be something I'm spending a lot of time on and I won't ever wear. And that goes into my goals for next year, where I really want to make sweaters that I will wear and love. And it's like, that'll become my wardrobe. Because right now I feel like I put on sweaters that I made to podcast and that's about it. So I want to make livable for me, roomy, comfortable sweaters that fit well. So, all right, we're on the final stretch here for socks. So first I'm going to start with the socks that I started from my dad. If I can find them in here, because I've got a lot going on in here right now. Okay, I found the ball of yarn. I should have really figured this out earlier. All right, hold tight. Pull out the needles. There she is. All right. Whew. It was a mess before I added to this bag. I'll just leave it at that. So I cast on a pair of socks for my dad. They're just gonna be vanilla socks, 72 stitches. Here's what I have. And the yarn is Coloring Book Yarns in Night Owl. And I really like this. I think it's a cool self-striping, a little bit more masculine color. Not at all a color that I wouldn't wear, just, you know, I just thought this would work for my dad. So he's got large feet, 72 stitches. I asked both my parents today, like, can you just step on a ruler or a yardstick today and let me know how many inches your feet are so I can figure this out without having to go to their house. And they both have socks that I've knit for them, but I don't really want to like go over there and do that. I just want them to send me and I can do the math and I can figure it out, hopefully. So anyway, I'm not sure I'm going to finish his socks because 72 stitch socks, even though it's not that much more than 64, right? Or 56, like really, it's what? I can't do math that quickly, but it's not that many more stitches. So, but for some reason they feel like they take so much longer. And plus with like an adult man's foot that's like probably a size 11 or something, that foot goes on forever. So I'm being realistic and realizing that I may not finish these in time for Christmas, which is fine because we've got Father's Day, he's got a birthday, there's other occasions. I can even just give him socks because you can do that. You can just give someone a pair of socks that you knit and that's fine. So I had 3 sock tubes that I had cranked by Carrie Winters, who is the Freckled Whimsy, over 2 years ago. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I don't know if it was 3 years ago. I know I've had them in my stash for a long time. And I just figured this was the year that this was gonna save Christmas. Those sock tubes are gonna save Christmas. So they are they're 64 stitch sock tubes, but on a kind of looser gauge because I've knit socks 2 times before on cranked sock. So, oh my gosh, I should just start over here. I sent her 5 skeins of yarn, and she cranked them and sent them back to me. I made socks out of 2 of them a while ago, and the ones that I made for myself are a bit like roomy. So I think that they are just a little bit looser gauge, which is great because that means they will work for my dad probably, who I normally knit 72 stitch sock for, and my mom, who sometimes I usually do 72 stitches for her as well, and my sister, who I do 72 stitches for. So yeah, so I have started adding heels and toes to these sock tubes. So this one is by Nomadic Yarns, and this one is called Quirrell. She has renamed all of her Harry Potter colorways, so you may still be able to get this colorway, but I think it's called something else now. It's just a really, really deep color pattern, stripe pattern. And so what I did is I added a cuff, obviously, and this is the Haunted Wood from my shawlography. And then I added a afterthought heel. And then what I'll do is once I have my measurements from my dad, I will add in a toe. And I mean, there's a lot of stretch here. I'm gonna have my husband try them on. I did Judy's Magic cast off, so there's a ton of like room in the cuff. So I think this is gonna work just fine. So I have enough of a tube here that I'm planning to make my husband a pair as well. And his might be shorties, they may be regular size. We'll see. We'll see how much yarn I have left. So at first I was thinking that I would try to match the socks, but I think I want to use as much of the yarn as I can, and I'm not going to worry about matching the stripe sequence. I'm just going to worry about making the length match. So that's the first one. So my dad and my husband. I'll start on the other side soon. It took me a few days to realize that I didn't care if the stripes matched, and I don't think anybody else will care either. And then I chose this pair for my sister, and this gray that I'm using for the heels and cuffs, I don't remember where it's from. It was just in my stash. So again, really stretchy. This will fit just fine. So, and then I'm gonna make my daughter a pair out of whatever's left. So probably a longer pair since her other socks are gonna be shorties. And then, I'm sorry, and this is the yarn jar. I don't know if this is a color, it's right here, that's still available. It's the yarn jar, and the color is Marvelous Mint. And I really like this one a lot. I always think of pistachio when I see this, so I was really surprised that it was Marvelous Mint. So yeah, and I think this contrast it's kind of different for me, but I really like it. So, and I'll probably do a hot pink contrast for my daughter, even though she's not really a hot pink girl. I think it'll look nice, and you can have whatever you want on your feet, right? And she wears a lot of crazy socks, so I think that'll work. And then my last one is the Woolen Homestead, and this colorway is Flannel and Bonfires. I don't believe they're dyeing anymore. It was a husband and wife duo. They used to have a podcast, and I think they stopped dyeing yarn, but I love this color. And this is leftovers from my my Slipstravaganza. This is Zoe Yarns in a color that I cannot pronounce because it's French. And then again, I have the heel on this one. And this one, because there's no stripes, and I realized, you know, I've got those started on both. So I'm gonna make a pair for my mom in these, and a pair for me, because it's a lot of yarn that and a lot of socks I'm making for other people, and I need a pair for me as well, right? So anyway, so that's this was like a weekend to put all these heels, toes, and cuffs on, so that's a lot of work. I know people think that cranked socks sometimes are like cheating, but there's still a lot of work that goes into making them, and sometimes it's nice to have it go a little bit faster. So I would love to have a sock machine someday, but that's out of my price range for right now. And unless I stop buying yarn, which 2022 is my year. So that is it for my works in progress. As you can see, I'm kind of all over the place with what I want to be working on, what I am working on, and what I feel like I should be working on as opposed to what I do want to work on. I haven't worked on my throw over or my, what is it called? I can never remember. No frills sweater that I showed last week. I just haven't had time. Between the shawlography and starting my holiday knitting, I haven't had time. So I am still hoping to finish those by December 31st. We'll see. I'm doing a lot of finger crossing this episode. But yeah, so let's run. Let's run and get into the book club really quick so that I can wrap this up. I did finish the Aurora cycle by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and the last time we spoke, I just finished Aurora Rising, and I really did love it. And I was reading Aurora Burning, which I still really enjoyed. And then I had like a week between finishing Aurora Burning and when Aurora's End was released and came out. I started reading it or listening to it on Audible the first day it came out, and I did not like it. It was sad. I felt like what I liked about all the characters was suddenly really flat. There was a lot of repetition. Aurora, who is the title character, got really annoying to me, and I didn't understand some of her motivations, and it was just a little bit of a disappointing ending to a pretty strong series. And I think that trilogies in general always suffer from this. You can never match the magic of your first book throughout the entire series. They always get weaker. This is my opinion. I've read a few series where I feel that they've defied this, but overall I just wish we could stop with trilogies. Just make one long book and keep the magic throughout the whole thing. It was disappointing, especially given how much I loved the first book and the characters. And for them all to get kind of flattened out at the end was a little disappointing. There were definite points and plots in the story that I thought were brilliant. I thought there was a lot of really good writing, some good parts, but the whole ending, it was like, in listening terms, at least 2 hours too long, and just missed the mark for me. So I'm sure there are like mega fans out there that are gonna, well, they're probably not watching this channel, but you know, that disagree with me, and I can understand some disagreement. But and then I thought, is it because I read them all too close together? I'm not sure. I just didn't love the ending, so a little bit of a disappointment. So in between Aurora Burning and Aurora's End, I had a week, and so I chose another book on Audible based on how long it was so that I could finish it before Aurora's End came out. And so I chose Sadie by Courtney Summers, and I liked it. It was, the plot of the book was sort of like listening to a podcast about a true crime topic, like a girl who was murdered and then her sister goes missing, and then having a Payne Lindsay type narrator who's working on the podcast and reporting on it. Having that as one part of the book, and then kind of woven through that is Sadie's actual story of how her sister died, why she left, what she's doing. It definitely deals with some abuse, so if that's a trigger for you, maybe don't pick this one up. But overall, I liked it more than I thought I would when I started to read it. The format threw me at the beginning, but as I got more used to it, I did really enjoy it. So I think I gave that one 3 stars. I liked it. I'm currently reading The Nature of Witches still by Rachel Griffin. It's going pretty slow for me, mostly because I'm back to reading with my kids before bed. And so having your kids read out loud to you, I mean, it puts me right to sleep. So I barely have time to like pick up my own book and start reading. So my daughter's trying to get through this book for an essay she has to write. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll read together. You read 5 pages, I'll read 2. And then we go through it a little bit faster. And then my son reads to me because he's in 5th grade. And yeah, by the time they're done reading to me, I am like, I can't keep my eyes open. But it's all right. The main character, I don't remember her name. I remember it as soon as I read, but I can't remember it right now. She is an ever witch, so there are other witches that only have powers, or their powers are strongest when it's their season. So like summer, fall, winter, spring witches, but she's an ever witch and she's having trouble controlling her powers. And that's basically what I've gotten so far. She's usually isolated from the other witches, and so I don't know. I'm not sure where it's gonna go. It's good. It's fine. It's just not, it's not compelling enough that after listening to my kids read, I can really like dive in very far every night. I'm also reading Saving Us by Katherine Hayhoe, which is a climate scientist's book about what we can do to save the planet, which I think is really great. I'm also reading on Audible The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Haley Rubenhold. When I purchased this, I'm not sure what I thought it was, but it's not really what I thought it was. It is actually like biographical sort of stories of who the women were that were killed by Jack the Ripper. There's a lot of information about Victorian England, which is totally my jam, but it may not be everybody's. I personally love Victorian England. It is one of my favorite things to read about. So I really am enjoying this, but it's a little dry, and I feel like it jumps around a little bit when I was talking about these people and their families. And some of the storytelling is, this is probably what happened to them, because there's not, I mean, these women didn't lead lives that, there's great records about. So it's really interesting though, and I am enjoying it. I don't think I could read it as a physical book. I don't think it would hold my attention, but listening to this lovely British woman talk to me about Victorian England and who these ladies were, and the thing I do like about this book is it's not at all about the crimes. It's about who these women were, how they ended up where they were when they were murdered, and then it doesn't go into anything else, which is kind of nice. So I'm enjoying it. I was gonna say, I just got another book on Audible that I'm really excited to read, and I have no idea what book it was, but it's probably gonna be my next book, and I'm really excited to start that one once I finish this one. So that's about it. I never talk about what I'm watching on TV because it's not my favorite subject when other podcasters talk, but I will say I just finished watching Squid Games with my husband and my 13-year-old daughter. I know, questionable parenting choices. And if anybody else watched it, I'd be really interested to know your thoughts and feelings. I didn't love it, but my daughter, everybody in 8th grade has watched it, so she really wanted to watch it. So my husband and I watched it with her. And I mean, I like weird things. Like The Boys is one of my favorite television shows, and I've watched both seasons multiple times, and that's a pretty gory, violent show. So like Squid Games isn't that far out for me, but I had real weird feelings about it, and perhaps it was watching it with my daughter. I don't know, but anyway. So I've asked for a lot of opinions today. If you feel compelled to leave a comment either about what you think about the love note and my coloring, if you would be interested in participating in knit-alongs next year, knitting from stash, knitting sweaters, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for showing up today. It means so much to have you here. I love chatting about what I'm working on and what I'm reading, and I think this is still going to be a little longer than I wanted, but I've tried, So thank you so much. If you are in the United States and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope that you're thankful and that you have a wonderful time celebrating with family if you can. It's been such a weird couple of years here, and I know I'm looking forward to spending time with my family and having a few days off of work. So little blessings, right? and I will check in with you before the holiday season is upon us. So until then, I hope you're enjoying your knitting and have a great rest of your week. I hope you're doing so well. Bye.